Good morning and welcome to Wednesday's edition of Shortcuts for Your Soul. My name is William Michael Forbes. I'm a spiritual medium, a channel, and an intuitive life coach. And today I have the privilege and honor of being able to channel the energy of the spirit known as Alan Watts. And it's been a very interesting and deliberate morning with him this morning. One of the things he said to me, he said, "It's too bad I didn't smoke, because smoking would distract your mind from what it is I would have to say." I found that quite humorous, that smoking was a tool for distracting the mind from being in the way of what he was seeking to communicate to other people. The things that people called his vices are the things that he called his blessings, because they helped him to really channel his deeper knowing. And today, I'm happy that we had to do a little rewording here, but the "you are what you are looking for" is the subject of today. Good morning, everybody. We're going to give everybody a chance to come on live. Before we begin getting into this, I want to say the winner for a free reading with me, my Patreon, who won a free reading with me this month, is Michelle Overpeck. Michelle, you will receive an email to make arrangements for your free reading, and congratulations on winning that reading with me. I'm going to look forward to that time that we get to bring through whoever comes through for you. If you want to become a Patreon supporter, you can go to my Patreon page, patreon.com/William Michael Forbes. And yeah, there's a deliberateness to Alan's energy that does not require a lot of words. It requires very useful words, is what he says. There's no point in speaking if it's not going to have some value to it. The question of what you are seeking, the fact is that if everyone were going to find what they were seeking in this world, they would have all found it and been happy by now, because what you are seeking is not going to be found in this world. You can get certain fundamental things from this world. You can get pleasure. You can get pain. You can get things and stuff from this world, but you will not find in this world what you are really looking for. Because what you are really looking for, isn't that not on what's inside of you? Is that not what's inside of you, what you're really looking for? But how can you know that if you spend all of your time distracted by your senses, pulled about by this world, never really stopping to catch your breath long enough to really hear yourself? And I don't mean hearing yourself in terms of the thoughts that run through your mind, or the memories, or what you might think is to come. But what we're really talking about is, who are you really, and what are you looking for? To give that question serious consideration requires that you be willing to take your attention away from all of the distractions. It's only that point where the distractions end that the beginning of the answer to that question can begin to arise. And many of you never get to the point where you can even begin to consider the question, because you're so distracted. And so you find yourself running around, never really getting anywhere except uncomfortable most of the time. And that doesn't really serve anybody any good. And all this discomfort simply spoils down into conflict and more conflict in this world. So what you are really looking for is yourself, and not the self that you think you are, but the self of the self that is watching the thinking, that is considering the thoughts without any concern for them, just simply aware that they're there, but is not the thoughts. The quality of what you're looking for is very different than the nature of memory. The quality of what you are is very different than the nature of sensation. The quality of what you are looking for cannot be described in language However, it can be very, very intimately experienced. And yes, you can even experience that through the act of tantra, through the act of sex. There's a brief moment where you can find a moment where you have found what you are looking for. And this is why there's such an obsession with sex in the world, is because for that brief moment, you find what you are looking for. And it is not in this world, and it is not in the person that you're with. It is in that moment within yourself where everything of this world is stripped away from you, and you get a glimpse, an extremely blissful glimpse of what you're really looking for. And that brief glimpse gives you the idea and knowledge that it exists and it is real. But then you go back into the world looking for it again, which is quite ridiculous when you consider all things. To actually find what you're looking for and then think that you have to go somewhere else to find it again. And then you go out there in your world and your people and your places to find it. And yes, you may find moments where you are ecstatic. You achieve something and you get a moment, a glimpse of what you're looking for. When you achieve something for you that might be significant, you find that is a moment that you are, yes, this is what I was wanting to find. And you have that moment when you achieve something. Or you are in communion and you celebrate with others and there's that moment. And like sex, that moment passes and then you go running off looking for it somewhere else. But what if, and I dare you to consider this, what if that moment could be prolonged? What if that moment where you find what you're looking for could be prolonged? Is it possible that you can prolong that moment you find that you're looking for and you go, this is what I'm looking for. This is who I am. I feel whole. I feel complete in that moment. An orgasm does that for you. Does it not? Does it not make you feel complete in that moment? Do you not feel complete when you achieve something significant? You have that moment where you're complete. Is it possible then, if you can have that moment for a moment, that you could have that moment for longer than a moment? Is it possible? And is that what you're really looking for? Because if you had that moment all the time, everybody would be satisfied here, wouldn't they? Every one of you would be thrilled and satisfied with your life. Yet you disconnect from that moment and you go into the world trying to find it again, if only for a fleeting moment. But you remain unsatisfied. But that moment that you are lost in, where you go, yes, this is it. This is perfect. I am perfection. And you come to that awareness and that understanding of it, and you're in it. Why do you leave it? Why can you not stay there? Because there are two selves to you. There's the self that the world has made you to believe that you are, and the self that you know yourself to be. And yet you've spent so much time being one and ignoring the other that you get glimpses of the other, like the scenery out of the window of a train passing quickly through a countryside. You get glimpses of your own beauty. You get glimpses of it and you become disconnected from it. And then you connect to it and you become disconnected from it, and you seek to be liberated from it. You seek very, very deeply to be free from your suffering. There is a process. There is a way that you can begin to prolong that moment. And I state very clearly that you are what you are looking for. And when you have truly found it, you will look no further. There will be no need for seeking or acquiring, for the very nature of what you are fulfills all of that by its nature. The attractive power to what you are is greater than all of the efforts you will expend in many lifetimes to acquire something that can be brought forth in a single instant. And there is not one among you that have not experienced that instant at some point or another, even in a state where you find yourself in a euphoric state induced by drugs. You can find that moment of who you are, but then you think you have to go back to the drugs to find the moment of who you are. And it gets very confusing because you keep having to go back and finding yourself getting worse and worse. And that moment seems to be more and more fleeting as you try desperately to hold on to it through whatever mechanism you can. But there's no need for desperation when you recognize that the very thing that you are seeking is what you are. And if you allow yourself to indulge in that, would that not be fulfilling enough for you to be what you are? This process of meditation, of divesting yourself of thought, of liberating your attachment to matter, of giving your attention to something other than what is familiar to you, this may be a step in the right direction. Do you not think that this might be a step in the right direction? If for only fleeting moments you get a glimpse of who you are, that blissful being that is truly who you are, does it not make sense that if you could step away from what is familiar to you that stands between you in that moment, that you might expand that moment, that you might get more of it, that you might articulate it more intimately and profoundly as a reality and not something to be sought after, but something which exists even right now. Oh, how I wish this one smoked. Yes, this process, so this is fun. Yes, well, I'm not going to do that. It's funny, when beings leave their body, they can still have very strong memories of what it feels like as a sensation to have a cigarette or have a beer or have the things that they used to have. And it's quite remarkable, actually, that when you remember who you are outside of the framework of your identity, you can remember what it's like to experience things physically, even if you don't have a physical body. Yeah. He just says that smoking just would help distract my mind from what he's trying to say. Yes. So now that you know that what you are looking for is yourself, if you come to understand what I'm saying and you come to that awareness, the process of acquiring and gathering and gaining stuff in order to find the fulfillment of what already is becomes unnecessary. And then what you are by nature will fulfill that which you would seek. But you have it all backwards, you see. All of you have it backwards. You are seeking something that you already are. And again, you only get it fleetingly because you are not really looking at it. You are only looking at the illusion of what you think it might be. But I can assure you that in that moment of bliss, whether it be from a victory or an orgasm or an achievement, that you would most certainly agree that in that moment there is nothing else but the magnificent satisfaction of your being liberated from all other considerations. Nothing disturbing or distracting you, but absolute bliss in that moment where you find yourself free of the seeking, of the world seeking, of the acquiring of things and stuff in order to find the fulfillment that you already possess as the very nature of your own being. And yet you would still continue to seek in this world and find further dissatisfaction in the attempt to find the satisfaction you already possess. And my goal here today is very simple: to just remind you of the obvious truth that you are what you are seeking. And when you be that which you are in this world, seeking is replaced with automatic knowing and doing that is self-fulfilling by its own nature. In other words, what you are will fulfill itself by being what it is. In other words, being what you are truly is self-fulfilling. In other words, what you would say and what you would do proceeding forth from that which you are will always result in the fulfillment of itself. And the things that you would engage in this world would not be perceived as separate from you or something to be pursued, because you would be in oneness with them. You would not be separate from your work. You would not be separate from your families. You would not be separate from your food. You would not be separate from your appearance. The nature of what you are is not based in this illusion of separation. It is fundamentally a unified state of being that incorporates all aspects of itself into the nature of its own expression at all points of time and space. And if you understand that simple truth, then the process of seeking is replaced by the process of being. And the process of being is far more exhilarating than the process of seeking. The only reason you enjoy the process of seeking so much is for that 1 second of finding what you really are. That moment, that orgasm, that achievement, that moment. But why settle for but a moment when you can have an eternity? Why? There's something very exciting about it, isn't there? There's something very exciting for you, isn't there? Seeking for that moment, for that glimpse. It's quite amazing that you can do that you can go through life for moments of bliss as opposed to a lifetime of it. I wonder why. The only reason why is because you've forgotten who you are. You think that you have to seek what you are in this world. And that's not an error or a fault. It is simply the nature of what you call your conditioning. The world has swayed you into believing that there's something out there that is more valuable than something that you already possess. And so many of you find yourselves in conditions that you call impoverishment and suffering and lack, not because that is really what you are, but is simply what you are keeping yourself separate from by the very nature of seeking. The journey of bliss, when it is undertaken and you experience that fully inside, I can assure you that it does not matter what you will say or do. From that perspective, it will always be the right thing. And it will always result in fulfillment. It will never result in dissatisfaction. Dissatisfaction comes from a very temporary set of beliefs and values that do not consider the whole of consciousness, but only simple fragments of it. But a tree or a bird does not consider themselves as separate from flying or growing leaves. They do not view themselves as separate from the nature of what they are being. Their expression is in complete alignment with what they are. They do not need to seek it. Why do you think a tree has roots? It does not need to seek itself because it is itself. Why do you think a bird does not need to land on the ground and walk around all the time? Because it is a bird, it flies, it's its nature. It is not needing to be anything else other than what it is, or a lion, or a dog, or an ass. They are all being what they are. They do not need to be something else. What will happen when you truly engage in being what you are, when you know truly that you are what you are seeking? What do you think will happen if you are fulfilled? What do you think would happen to you? Do you think you would die? Well, there is certainly an aspect of yourself that would die. That part of yourself that you call the personality would certainly not be the same. And people would perceive you very differently in that moment where you die from the old self and you become that which you truly are, yes, a lot of people would be very unnerved and very disturbed by the change that would ensue from you being that which you are and not what they are used to you being. And again, that is a scary, scary process for many of you to consider not being what everybody's so familiar with having you be for them and their discomfort as well. For you are all in agreement that you are not going to find what you are being, because that would result in a lot of changes. But I can assure you there's a greater fulfillment in not being so comfortable for other people. And by that, I mean that your behavior is structured in such a way as to make others comfortable based upon the framework of their believability in what they think reality is. And when you break the agreement of that reality by being what you really are, well, they crucify you and they judge you and they attack you, because now you are no longer in the illusion. You are no longer seeking fleeting moments. You are simply being what you are. And that is what happens to very many that step outside that illusionary pursuit of the self, seeking only momentary glimpses of it. It's okay to have a moment of absolute ecstasy, but whatever you do, do not express it as an ongoing expression of your being, for you will threaten everybody with the truth of their own illusions, and they may not take too kindly to that at all. But that, I find that ridiculously funny. Because even if you try to not be what you are in this lifetime, you will find yourself seeking to be it again in another. You cannot escape what you are, no matter how much you pursue it in this world. No matter how short and fleeting you make the glimpses, you will never be able to escape the nature of what you truly are, nor will you ever be able to escape being it, ever. And there will come a time where the road will run out and you will come to a dead end of pursuits and seeking, and you will realize there is only one way to go. And that is, you are what you are looking for. And when you are there, you are there. And your expression here will be very different. And your experience here will be very different. And your understanding will be very different. What you risk by being what you are is everything that you are not. And for some, that is very scary, to risk everything for what some may say is nothing. But I can assure you that what some say is nothing is everything. Are you willing to risk everything for nothing if nothing is everything? That is the question you have to ask yourself. If nothing is everything and everything is nothing, and you understand the difference between the two, then you have truly opened your eye to look closely at what I'm saying and comprehend it within yourself. For that is the only place that it can be comprehended or understood, is within yourself. Everything else that you seek to pursue outside of yourself to find that which you already possess will only lead to further delay and for some confusion. But I can assure you, when you liberate yourself from the pursuit of those temporary glimpses and you engage in the fullness of what you are in the present moment, it will be a very good moment. And it will not last just a second or two. It will last eternity. For that ultimately is the nature of what you truly are. But in order to know that, you have to understand that that is the case. It is not something that you are going to discover simply because I'm speaking. It is not something you're going to discover because you have an orgasm, although there are many that have discovered it through an orgasm and have chosen to stay there. And there are many who have discovered it through a great achievement and have stayed there. It can be found in an instant, and that instant can become an eternity. It is delightful, this life you call being, when you understand that it is without the boundaries and limits that you place upon it. And it will be exceedingly interesting to see what unfolds in these next few years in this world. It is very different than when I was in the form as you understood me to be in, although the process of confusion is still identically the same. You are still seeking to find what you are in the world, gathering only fleeting glimpses. So not much has really changed in one sense, but great potential is available now for the conceptions of what the self is, has reached a level in your collective unconsciousness that could afford what you would call a quantum leap in human collective consciousness. And this would be fun to witness and be a part of. Thank you. Really appreciate that. Good morning, everybody. So this is, this has been my exciting morning, and I'm delighted. The energy, Alan's energy is really quite detached. There's no attachment to, it's very different than anybody else I've channeled. This is only the second time I brought him through. Last time was a couple years ago, but he really wanted to come through on this one. You are what you were seeking. Yes, good morning. Hi, Mayan. Hello. Hi, Jenny. Hi, ZB. Hello. Yeah, it's all well received, everybody. All well received. Let's get into some questions. Drusilla's asking, will all of my memories be available to my conscious mind after ascension? He's saying everything is available to you after this thing you call ascension. When you find what you are, you contain all that you are, and all that you are is all that is. It is the greatest bliss you will ever find when you understand that. Of course you'll understand that. You will retain everything. You lose nothing. You are all that is in your truest nature. And again, the Buddha knew this very clearly. He tried to articulate this to you, that you are one with everything. And if you are one with everything, then you would know everything that one is. Is that not true? Question from Holly. Did your understanding of God's source change after you transitioned from the physical to the spiritual realm? And would you have changed any of your lectures? Much gratitude for all you taught. Why would I want to change anything that is already done? It is done. The transitionary process, again, coming into this form through this one, I certainly have things that I cherished while I was in that body, things that others may have looked upon me with disdain, but I certainly miss my tobacco, and I certainly miss my drink. These were things that I truly enjoyed in my body. They were my frequent moments of bliss that I found. And so certainly from vices, you can find a lot of freedom if you understand the nature of the moments that come. And then those moments get strung together like pearls on a necklace, and suddenly you're free of those things. So when I left the form, I had already found what I was looking for. But it was still very nice to remember all that is. Wow. Great question. Thank you so much. Hi, Mary. Wonderful. Question from Enjoy. How do I conquer the fear of judgment and rejection of being myself openly with those closest to me? He's saying just start accepting who you are. Don't wait for other people to keep accepting who you are. If you keep waiting for others to accept you, well, you will never be accepted, because they will never accept you as you are, because what you are as you are is very different than what they think you are. And you will find yourself ever seeking to feed that animal that can never be fulfilled. So I encourage you to risk being who you are, irrespective of what others may or may not think about you. Again, you come back to that process of seeking in the world to find that which you already are. And if you're seeking to find it from them, how do you expect to be fulfilled? Because you're not being who you are. You're being what you think others need you to be in order for you to feel fulfilled. That will never work. It will never work. You must be what you are, irrespective of others. That does not mean that you are crass or crude or disrespectful. It simply means that you understand who you are and you're not afraid to be it. And again, you will know if you're in alignment with who you are because you will feel great bliss. It is when you are uncomfortable and nervous that you are often going to find yourself not being precisely what you know yourself to be. And again, that distinction between what you are and what you know yourself to be is very different than what you are being for others and what you are. It's important to make that distinction. Wonderful, thank you. Question from Animation. Are there any messages for me on my spiritual path? He's saying stop seeking and go into that moment. Be in that moment of bliss. Be in that moment. When you find a moment that makes you feel that you are fulfilled, forget that which caused that moment of fulfillment and be the moment of fulfillment, and you will find yourself free. If you need to go have sex and have an orgasm, and in that orgasm, stay in that moment. Or if you wish to go and do something significant and it gives you a moment of, I've done this, then stay in that moment. If you meet somebody and you feel absolutely in love with that moment, then stay in that moment. And if you can stay in that moment, all will be done. All will be complete. And you'll understand. Cool. Thank you so much. Question from Lauren. How come I've been so uncertain? Uncertainty comes because you are not looking where you're supposed to be looking. Again, as I've said, the process of pursuing what you are seeking in order to feel fulfilled should be an internal process, not an external one. But you may use the external to stimulate the internal recollection, that moment of bliss, that moment of joy. But remember that what you feel and what you experience is not something the world is giving you. It is something that is happening within you. And therefore, no matter what the world does or what you pursue in the world, you will never experience the world as it is. You can only experience what you know inside. And so your uncertainty will dissipate when you stop relating that certainty to the world. That fear that underlies it, is that slight peeking around the corner. You're seeking to find yourself. Maybe I'm out in this world somewhere. Maybe I'll find it out here. Let go of your fear. In those moments of uncertainty, let the uncertainty go. Let it go. And once you let it go, you'll have no need for it anymore. And then you'll experience truly who you are when you're willing to let go. Great question, Lauren. Time for one more question, guys. Question from Thomas. Is it necessary to sing or harmonize a time outside myself on a material stage, or is it enough to sing with intention for all to hear, feel, or be? Interesting. It's interesting that you should ask that question. Again, if you are singing for all to hear, rather than to express the nature of what you are from that source point inside, from that place inside you, where you are what you are, to sing from there, you do not have to concern yourself with who will hear or who will not hear or how they will hear. For if you are being that which you are truly, then there are very few that would not hear you. And there are very few that would not hear the beauty and the purity of that which you are. For in truth, all of you are pure and beautiful in what you are. Everyone is. And when you are being that, everyone that is within earshot will hear. And everyone within eyeshot will see. Please understand. Okay, will do. Vertical questions asking, there are people that envision manifestation during orgasm. Is it reasonable? Well, it is reasonable that you can create that awareness anytime. If you choose to use the energy of that moment, you're simply accessing that which you already are. Understand, if you are seeking the orgasm to find what you already are, then again, you will keep yourself separate from what you are. If you are being that vibration and you are staying in that vibration, the manifestation that comes from that energy is inevitable. It will be in unity with whatever manifests from it. To simply be whole and complete in the moment of your being is sufficient enough for manifestation. To be whole and complete in that moment, to prolong it, to be in that state as you are truly in that state, in your consciousness, to be in that state. You do not need to concern yourself with the how and the when of things, for the very nature of that being causes very precise, consistent activities to occur in time and space around you. It is inevitable. Wow. Yes, I'm going to paraphrase that a bit. That vibration that you call orgasm, when you become it, when there's not you and the orgasm, you're just being the vibration. That energy organizes matter, time, and space very precisely. Yeah, he says that's accurate. So energy, like water. You put a pot of water on the stove and you turn the stove on, and the heat from the element in the stove heats the water. Now the water becomes hot and it starts to boil, right? The very nature of that vibration of heat changes the consistency of that matter called water to become something different. This boiling water becomes steam. So the nature of the energy of an orgasm would do the same. If you can remain in that energy long enough, it's going to cause a creation in time and space that's going to affect matter, much the same way as that vibrational frequency of temperature affects matter. Yes, he says he's in agreement with that too. That process is accurate in describing what occurs when you maintain your consciousness consistently in a certain vibrational state of being. Vibrations of love and vibrations of fear induce very different changes in the experience of your physical world. Cool. Thank you very much. That was a great question, Vertical. And awesome. You're welcome, Enjoy. I want to thank everybody for coming out today. If you want to support this channel and the work to do, please hit the subscribe button, give it a thumbs up the video, share the video with other people. And remember to click the notification bell so you know when we come live on Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays. Now this Friday, I'm really excited because we're bringing this being in by the name of Malachi. And he wants to talk about being aware and awake. And this was requested by somebody from the channel last week. And he came in on Saturday and said, yes, we're going to do this. So I'm going to let you know that's happening on Friday. Malachi on Friday on Shortcuts for Your Soul. And yeah, remember also Michelle Overpeck, I'll be getting in touch with you. Congratulations on winning the free reading with me. And again, we'll be doing the Patreons live only event on the 7th of this month. So to my patrons, I look forward to seeing you on the 7th of this month live at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And I want to thank all of you for your support of this channel, for sharing these messages, for liking these videos, subscribing. It really helps get this Ascension energy out to everybody. Much love to you guys. I'll see you on, oh, by the way, also please consider joining our 1 billion strong YouTube channel and our 1 billion strong Facebook group, where we have a meditation program that was put forward by my guardian angel John about 2 years ago, that we are literally changing the collective unconsciousness of humanity. So please go to 1 billion strong on YouTube and subscribe to that channel, and also learn the meditation process to help emanate and cultivate and strengthen the vibrational energy of love on this planet, so that we can induce a paradigm change in human collective unconsciousness. Also, go to my Facebook group page called 1 Billion Strong. Just search 1 Billion Strong on Facebook and join that group too. Again, the focus is to generate a standing field of love that induces a change in our collective unconsciousness as a human species, because we're struggling right now with a lot of fear being released, right? So we need to build in, as we release fear, we need to build in a vibrational energy of love. I want to thank Alan for coming present with me today. It was a delight, truly a delight for me today to experience your energy. And I smoked for 30 years a long time ago, and having the feeling of the joy and the pleasure you had from smoking was very different than what I remember. But it's quite a delight to experience that nonetheless. And again, much love to all of you, and I will see you on Friday with Malachi on Shortcut for Your Soul. Much love, everybody. Bye for now.